I caught my cheating wife red-handed with her ex-boyfriend. My name is Ryan, and I thought I had the kind of marriage people dream of. My wife Lauren and I had been together for 7 years, married for 4. We met in college and fell in love over late-night study sessions and built a life together filled with laughter, shared dreams, and what I thought was unwavering trust. But all of that came crashing down one fateful evening when I caught her in the act, red-handed, with her ex-boyfriend Jake. It was a Thursday night, and I was supposed to be at a work conference in Chicago, a 3-day event that had been on my calendar for months. But the conference ended a day early due to a last-minute cancellation of the final session, and I decided to surprise Lauren by coming home early. I imagined her face lighting up when I walked through the door. Maybe we'd order her favorite pizza and binge-watch a new series on Netflix. I even stopped by a florist on my way home to pick up a bouquet of her favorite lilies, feeling like the luckiest guy in the world. As I pulled into our driveway, I noticed an unfamiliar car parked out front, a sleek black sedan I didn't recognize. My stomach churned, but I brushed it off, thinking maybe a friend had stopped by. I grabbed the flowers, unlocked the front door, and stepped inside, calling out, "Lauren, I'm home early, surprise!" The house was eerily quiet, no response. I set the flowers on the kitchen counter and glanced around. Her shoes were by the door, her purse on the couch, but something felt off. Then I heard it, a muffled laugh coming from upstairs, followed by a man's voice. My heart sank. I knew that voice. It was Jake, her ex-boyfriend from college, the guy she'd dated before me.
She always said they were just friends now, but I'd never fully trusted him. My pulse raced as I climbed the stairs, each step heavier than the last. The laughter grew louder, coming from our bedroom. The door was slightly ajar, and I pushed it open, my hands trembling. What I saw shattered my heart into a million pieces. There they were, Lauren and Jake, on our bed, tangled in each other's arms, their clothes scattered on the floor. They didn't even notice me at first, too caught up in their moment. Lauren's head was thrown back in laughter, her hands on his chest, while Jake whispered something in her ear, a smug grin on his face. It was like a scene from a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I stood there, frozen, for what felt like an eternity but was probably only a few seconds. Then Lauren's eyes met mine, and her face turned pale. "Ryan!" she gasped, scrambling to cover herself with the sheet. Jake sat up, his smirk fading as he realized they'd been caught. "What the hell is this?" I shouted, my voice shaking with a mix of rage and disbelief. I felt like I was going to be sick. "Lauren, how could you do this? In our bed? With him?" she stammered, tears welling up in her eyes. "Ryan, I can explain. It's not what it looks like." "Not what it looks like?" I cut her off, my voice rising. "I catch you in our bed with your ex, and you're telling me it's not what it looks like? Are you kidding me?" Jake stood up, pulling on his shirt, trying to play it cool. "Look, man, let's not make this a big deal. It just happened. Get out," I growled, stepping toward him, my fists clenched. "Get out of my house before I do something I regret." He didn't need to be told twice. He grabbed his shoes and bolted down the stairs, leaving Lauren and me alone in the wreckage of our marriage. She was sobbing now, her face buried in her hands. "I'm so sorry, Ryan," she cried. "I didn't mean for this to happen. I was lonely, and you've been so busy with work, and Jake reached out, and it just happened." I stared at her, the woman I thought I knew, the woman I'd vowed to love forever. "It just happened?" I repeated, my voice cold. "You don't accidentally cheat on your husband, Lauren. You made a choice. You chose to betray me." She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "Please, Ryan, we can work through this," she begged. "I love you. I don't want to lose you." I shook my head, the pain in my chest so intense I could barely breathe. "You already have," I said quietly. I turned and walked out of the room, grabbing my keys and leaving the house. I couldn't stay there. Not in the place where my trust had been shattered, not with the woman who had broken my heart. I drove aimlessly for hours, my mind replaying the scene over and over. I thought about all the times Lauren had mentioned Jake in passing, The late-night texts she'd brushed off as nothing. The way she'd been distant lately. The signs were there, but I'd been too blind to see them. I felt like a fool. Eventually, I ended up at my best friend Mike's place. He took one look at my face and knew something was wrong. Over a few beers, I told him everything. He listened quietly, then said, "You don't deserve this, man. You need to decide what you want to do, but whatever it is, I've got your back." The next few days were a blur. I stayed at Mike's, ignoring Lauren's calls and texts. She sent me long messages, apologizing, begging for forgiveness, promising to cut Jake out of her life. But the damage was done. I couldn't unsee what I'd seen, couldn't unfeel the betrayal that now defined our marriage. I met with a lawyer to discuss my options. Divorce seemed like the only path forward, but it wasn't just about ending the marriage, it was about reclaiming my life. I started therapy to process the pain, and slowly I began to rebuild. I moved into a new apartment, surrounded myself with friends who lifted me up and focused on my career. Months later, I heard through mutual friends that Lauren had moved out of state, trying to start over. Jake apparently had moved on to someone else, leaving her to deal with the fallout alone. Part of me felt a twinge of pity for her, but a bigger part of me knew I was better off without her. Catching Lauren red-handed with her ex was the worst moment of my life, but it also set me free. It showed me who she really was and who I deserved to be with. I'm still healing, but I know one day I'll find someone who values me, someone who won't break my trust. Until then, I'm focusing on myself, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm going to be okay.